Good evening and welcome to Chat with the Facebook Live series. I am Elisha Dorcas and I am your super amazing host. And today I have the honor and privilege to be playing host to my Niger brother, David Francis Effiong. And he will be leading us on the conversation on child protection and educational rights in Africa. Yes, so it is a very important conversation that we need to have. It is a subject we need to talk about. And I am glad that David is doing us the honor to lead us on the conversation this evening. He has experience on this field. He knows his onions. And above all, David is a man of multiple arts. He is doing a lot of stuff. Like, his bio is choked, like very choked. When I was going through the bio, I was like, oh my God, seriously? So today we are yet to learn, and we are yet to learn. It is just for us to learn. And I am open to learning a lot from David this evening. So he will be sharing a lot with us this evening about his personal development, how he was able to build this kind of bio, one, the main theme of our conversation, and also his MWF experience. David is a 2022 Mandela Washington Fellow, so he's going to be sharing his experience, and I know David has a lot of gist for us as regards his experience this evening. Like when you talk about, like, David's MWF experience is one very unique one, because sometimes when you see David talk about his experience, or like he posts on social media, yes, and he's also a crazy storyteller. He's a very good one at that. Let's see whether he's here. Okay, he's here. He's here. Let me adjust. Oh. Yes, at last. It's not a small something. David.
Yeah, Alpha.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I know. Like there is an echo. I don't know. I'm hearing myself.
Yeah, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Oh, fine.
But I'm also hearing myself. Like there's an echo that is bouncing back from your end.
Oh, really?
Is your laptop? Yes. Is your
Oh,
laptop on?
okay. Let me leave the laptop. Is it okay now?
Okay. Yes, it is.
It's okay.
Oh,
Oh,
David,
nice.
David. Yes, it is. How are you doing? Oh no, it's still there. I can see it myself. Is it the laptop or which one? Because I suspect there are two devices that is on. Okay,
Yeah, they
let me try
actually,
some.
I've not been invited for Facebook Live before, and I was like, okay, just have two devices just in case. So the first one was a laptop, and then when I saw your message on WhatsApp, I was, oh, nah, so I can be this ignorant, eh? And then
No.
I had to
You
use the
are not
phone.
the only one. You are
Oh,
not the
okay.
only one. I think it was my fault. Usually, I send a message to inform our guests that the
Oh,
feature
yeah.
is not on desktop. You're supposed to use your. But I just assume that it is David now. David is established that is David. So I didn't bother. So pardon me. Sorry about that.
Oh, no
So
problem.
David, thank you so much for joining us this evening. We are very
Yeah,
excited to have you this evening.
yeah.
So before we dive into the conversation, you can share on your page if you want to, so your
Oh,
friends
okay.
can follow and watch. Yes.
Yeah, let me do that now. Um, okay. Conversation now. Please join. All right, so let me also get the link and maybe share on other platforms. Just a minute.
Okay, no problem. So I'm wondering where the echo is coming.
How is Nigeria treating you after you're back?
Don't worry. The country is here. We are waiting for you patiently. The country is not shaking. The country is here.
Oh
So don't
my
worry.
God.
Nigeria is fine. And we are pushing. We are pushing forward.
Okay, that should be it.
Okay. Okay. It's not echoing again.
Yeah, it's not.
When I'm thinking it's no longer echoing, then the sound comes. Okay, thank you, Francis. Okay, David Francis F. Young. But I know you as David. Which one is your first name is David, right?
Yeah, just in that order actually. You know,
Okay.
I back when I was starting out on the social media, I had Francis. People were so used to calling me Francis, and I said, okay, let's just go with it. And then I had,
Let's go with the flow.
yeah. But later on, when I started being intentional about my use of social media, and then I went to Google one day and I typed, Francis, and then the nickname that was attached to me. And yeah, a few articles came up, but I wasn't really pleased about it. I decided to, know what? I have to put my all my names. Like I have to be that unique. So if I'm introducing
Yeah.
myself anywhere, I must make sure I mention my three names. So you don't go looking for another Francis or another David, because there are a lot of that, or even another
Yeah.
Epion. So I'm so happy to be here. You see, it's still 11:17 a.m. Here
Wow.
in Dallas, and I'm so happy you invited me to share a few things, a few
Oh,
stories.
like, who am I not to invite you? Like, okay, let me just say something. We're already learning. Like, when I was introducing you, I said you're a man of many hats. Like, you have a lot under your sleeves, and we're already learning. So let me just pick that thing you just shared. So David just said something about his intentionality on how he uses social media. So
Yeah.
social media, we just have to be strategic. Social media is beyond just connecting with people, liking pictures and posting pictures.
Mm.
It is more and much more. So everything boils down to what you want to use social media for and how best you want to leverage on social media. So he said it passively, but I just want us to just take notes. He said he decided to put his full name because he wanted to stand out and to be unique. He knows what he wants to use social media for. This and much more we are going to be discussing about this evening. Like, we are going to be sucking all the juice from David this evening. So David, get ready. Hope you're taking breakfast.
Well,
Because we are here
I'm,
to draw. Like, we are going to be drawing from all angles this evening. Okay,
it's a
so
pleasure.
yeah. So David, you were saying you are honored to be here. We are glad and we are honored to have you come share your story. The first time David actually introduced himself, it was the introduction for me. It was the uniqueness of the introduction. Like, out of over 56 people that was in a particular hall, and David introduced himself, and it kind of stand out. His introduction kind of stick, because you'll be wondering who we ever introduced is him or herself that way. Only David. Like, only David will choose to use those words. He used to, like, I will still ask him to introduce himself so you will understand what I mean. So that when he does the introduction, you have an idea of the uniqueness and the niche he was able to carve out for himself. So when he introduces himself to you, you just like, you cannot just forget this guy because of what he said. And that is
one thing. So I was looking for that. I need to bring this guy. He's a busy person, but he made out time to be here to share with us. Thank you so much, David.
Thank you, Dorcas. Thank you, Dorcas. And I also see your interesting work in the north, and you're working in certain places that I envy to go work or have the experience of work there. I love the north.
So welcome to
I've
come.
been there for years before I moved down to the south, and I see that the nature of child protection and education rights, there is a yawning gap that needs not just government interventions, but they need people coming together to make sure that those um, inequalities in education and child protection are actually, as the case may be, if not leveled, but at least getting better by the day. So I'm here, and
Yeah, you are the one that is going to be talking. We are here to listen. We are
so
here to listen, David. So,
and
David,
my
before we
journey.
start, before you start the story,
Oh,
we
okay,
need to
okay.
do introduction. We used to introduce people on our platform. We used to use bio, please. So please, let's do the introduction. We might skip some things, but we try. Let me see. Is it very long? Not so long. We try and see. I need to read it. So in case you missed David's bio, when I shared it online, don't worry, I got you covered. I'm going to be reading the bio. So if you have questions for him, you can just drop your questions. So David Francis F. Young is a Mandela Washington Fellow. He calls himself the Savvy Fellow. No, like if you go on the social media pages across platform, you'll know why he calls himself a Savvy Fellow. So it will not be strange to you. I'm still getting this echo. I don't know. Please, if you're watching and you also it's also resounding for you, please can you just drop the message? Let's see what so that we can fix that. I'm getting this echo, like I'm hearing myself.
Okay.
David, is your laptop still on or is
Nah,
just your phone?
it's
It's
not.
just
It's
your
just
phone.
my phone. I actually left.
Okay, okay, no problem. I don't know, but it's all right.
Yeah.
Okay, so David holds a master's in business administration and is a community development worker and is the co-founder and lead strategist of Dahel Consultants and Techies Limited. Well done, sir. So it's not just a community development. It's not just a community development practitioner. It's also is a lover of data. So he's also a data analyst. Am I correct?
Yeah. Yeah.
I know, based on the way you introduce yourself before we talk, I know that one. So David loves community development and has been working with young people and for children for more than 10 years. He started out teaching children in secondary school in rural Nasarawa, and he moved on to mentor many young people within and outside Nigeria in fundraising, marketing, entrepreneurship development, skill acquisition, etc. He has also worked with Plan International Washington, D.C. and Plan International Zimbabwe on creating sustainability plan for the graduation project. Also notable was his appointment by Leap Africa as a mentor to a social entrepreneur in Ghana and Nigeria 2 years on a roll. So it's good. That is why they re-engaged him. So you can see the kind of person we have on this platform this evening. In Jennifer's voice. David anchored and led the team that brought about the very first children-centered fashion show out of West Africa. That's very, very impressive. He has also led the team that saw success for the first COVID-19 response to child care in Nigeria, as well as worked with a team that got funding for a food farm for school meals, SF4SM project for selected primary schools in Akwa Ibom, worth more than $60,000. David has been a TV presenter with UTV, a moderator of event paper presenter, is a researcher, like a lot. He has a certificate from the London Business School, from Institute Development Study from Ireland, University of California, David, that's the monitoring and evaluation, University of Portsmouth, UK, small businesses and leadership, like I will continue. Michigan State University, like the list continues. So David F. Young has experience with strategic leadership and management, entrepreneurship, business development, fundraising, marketing and management strategy, education and inclusive learning, and project planning. He's also a seasoned data analyst. As a Microsoft certified trainer, David shares most of his knowledge with over 2,000 students at Dahel Texas Limited. The formula for leading change is simple. Start with the children and see the society take a better shape. Ignore the young and stay afraid when old. Wow. But he believes in another thing, building young people to have hope in the future through little steps taken today. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you David Francis Effiong. Wow,
so much,
David. Yes, like you have a lot. A lot is inside your bio. A lot. Your bio is loaded. It is not back. Sorry. A call came through. The intentionality you put into what you do and how you do what you do. So, David, I'm interested. What actually inspired you on this journey of community service, of personal development? Because there's a lot embedded inside of you. And there's something you didn't even mention. You are a crazy storyteller. We did not see that there. You're a good storyteller. We didn't see that there. So, what actually inspired this journey for you?
Okay. So let me start by saying that I didn't start out with community development early on in my life. I was just like a normal kid going to school. I love physics, love mathematics, love the sciences. Then I went into mechanical engineering. I was working with my dad's company at the time. Then after a period of time, I moved over, worked with another company. So we were building machines. We were always talking to machines and doing things with machines. Then one day I was like, nah, Dad, I think I'm tired. I'm tired of talking to the machines. I want to start talking with human beings, because imagine leaving the house very early in the morning and coming back late at night. You're tired, you just want to sleep. I've even lost a few relationships as a result of that, because all these fine babes, they want someone that will be going to parties with them, all these things. Yeah, spend time with them, but you're just working always with the machines, doing things. And then I told my dad, man, I need to do something else. He wasn't so happy about it, because I think he wanted me to take over from him. He has a company, a mechanical engineering structural company. So I left. Then I went for a second degree in philosophy and psychology. Then that when I was doing my studies, that is when I actually traveled to a lot of places in Nigeria, teaching people, Enneagram workshop. So I started loving what I was doing, because as a part of what we studied back then was to relate with people, was to get some relationship, some solid relationship with people. So I started loving it. So I moved around like 26 states in Nigeria. This is not just when I was studying, but even after. I discovered I really love talking with people and bringing hope to people and all that. And a lot of people don't know this, but now I'm in the United States. I discover I can tell my story even more boldly. I don't know why that is. Yeah. When you in Nigeria, they hide. You don't want people to know certain things about you. But right here, I was exposed to the art of storytelling that is even much more personal. Yeah. So a lot of people didn't know that I went to the seminary for close to 10 years. I wanted to become a priest, and then I left.
Wow.
Not many people know that story. So
Yeah.
I started getting involved in the act of youth engagement and child protection about maybe 8 or 10 years ago, when I went to a particular community in Edo State, Nigeria. I worked in a community called, what is the name? Iraho, just close to Auchi.
Okay.
And I saw there's this very wealthy family that I was working with them, you know, teaching the kids and just making them feel awesome about themselves. And then one day, when I was teaching the Nelson, was it Nelson? I think that's not his real name. Anyway, let me call him Nelson. So when I was teaching him how to play the violin, yeah, because I was with the orchestra,
You do
you know,
violin too.
yeah, I play a
Interesting.
couple of instruments, violin, keyboard, saxophone, wind instruments, and string instruments. Yeah.
Wow.
So I also, you know, performed on stage a couple of times. So I was teaching this guy the violin, and then one day he ran to my apartment, and then he told me that the father doesn't want him to come back home. I said, why? Why is your dad? Why is your dad not interested in? Why is your dad sending you away? And then he started narrating the story of there's this particular girl he's dating, and the girl is from a lower class family, and the family doesn't want him to relate with the girl. And you know, everyone is telling him now that the girl is a witch, because if the girl is not a witch, why would the girl have so much power that that's making him to disobey the parents, and he's always going to visit her, you know. I was intrigued by that story. I was like, you mean to say that your father don't want you to come back home because he suspects that you have been bewitched by a lady or by a girl? I mean, this was a really wealthy family. If you go to that village, they have a very large landmass. Like, they have buildings on their property. And I said, okay, you know what? Let me go and talk to your dad. Let me talk to him and see what he has to say. So when I went with him to go see his dad, I had an appointment, waited for the dad to come. You know, all these big people now. And then the dad was like, yeah. Mr. Francis, thank you for coming. You see, this is my son. I regret having this boy as my son. He is not respecting me. He's not listening to what I'm saying. He's not this, he's not that, he's not that, he's not that. Can you imagine that this entire community, they know that this particular girl is a witch, and my son has, you know, has refused to listen to me, and he's telling me that he loves this girl, he wants to, oh man. I told him, okay, you know what? Let me go and visit this girl. Let me see if I can pray with her, if I can deliver her from this week. Yeah, if I can do something so that she would stop, you know. I was so ignorant. Then I went with this boy, and when I went there, I saw this compound. They didn't have any gates. You know, these gates that you can just use your hand and push it, or even your finger. You just push it and it will fall. It was a wooden gate. And then I went in, and the whole place was calm. There was nobody there. I looked around to turn to my left, turn to my right, you know, just trying to see if I could see a single soul, but there was nobody. And then I saw one rickety, fragile old woman trying to, almost limping towards the gate to meet us. And she was like, "What do you people want? What do you people want?" I was like, "We want to see your daughter." And the guy was just behind me. He was so afraid of coming inside the compound. So I was the bold one, because I wanted to see what a witch looks like for the first time in my life. You know, I went in, and And then I told her I wanted to just have a word with the daughter, and she was like, "Nah, you don't need to. Are you here to kill her? Are you here to do this? Are you here to do that?" I said, "No, I just want to have a word with her. I just want to sit down and talk with her." And but I had an ulterior motive. I wanted to see what she looks like. I wanted to see if I
Yeah.
can do something to just stop her from, disturbing my
Your clients.
family, And then when I was still talking with the mom, then the lady came out, and then as a man, I stood there watching how so pristine this lady was, how so flawlessly beautiful she was, and without being offered a seat, I gave myself one. And then she walked up to me and then asked me rather, what do I want? I say, well, I'm sure you know who Nelson is, and I'm just here to have a conversation with you. And then we sat down. And I asked her what happened with Nelson. Why are people calling her a witch? Her beauty confused me for a moment. I forgot what I went there to do, and I could see why Nelson was really was really taken aback by, hooked by this. And then we sat down and we started having a conversation. My mind was empty of any type of stigma. I just wanted to have a conversation. And then before she even started talking, she started crying. And she told me that she is in school. She just got admitted in a nearby university. But she is so ashamed to leave the house to go to school because the entire village thinks that she is a witch.
Yeah,
That,
which.
yeah,
Mm.
all that she ever wanted to do was at least to be a good friend to Nelson. That's the worst thing she thinks she's done to herself. But right now, she just wants to leave the community. You know. Now, if you watch most of these Nigerian movies, the idea of a witch is someone who flies at night, someone who can pour some powder in their hands and then blow them into your face and then you faint, someone that can cause chaos in your life, someone that can mention your name in dark and murky places and then you will be destroyed for the rest of your life. But right there on that bench, on that wooden bench, I sat listening to her speak and crying and even showing her audacity to become a better person. And then it struck me that I was very lucky to have that conversation with her
Yeah.
because for the first time in my life, I came face to face with somebody who is stigmatized, but a lot of people
Wanted.
believe that she was actually on a mission to destroy another person. And because of that, she was even questioning if she should continue going to school. Now, this was an adult. This was an adult. Then I started having this idea of, you know what? I think I understand what stigmatization is. I think I know what it is. Because in my community, if you started out telling your parents that you wanted to be a priest, for instance, and you ended up not being a priest, people are going to stigmatize you. People are going to say that you are worth nothing, that you are a mess, you are a disgrace, you are an embarrassment, you are a shameful motherfucker. Oh, sorry, my language. So I'm like, I'm like, now I think I understand what stigmatization is. And if I have the audacity to be in the midst of people to tell them that, look, you are not this person, you can be more, then
Yeah.
I should start doing more. So over the couple of years, I went back to northern Nigeria. Then, as an editor, I tried to cover a lot of stories Then we had this crisis in the north at the time, especially in Kafanchan, where Fulani herdsmen had the killings and here and that. And I remember back then the governor was like having this curfew. People should not go out so that people, the security apparatus or all these guys would put peace. Then you wake up the next morning, people that were supposed to be safe were actually murdered, and then you could go to people's houses and see dead bodies just outside their homes. And I'm like, why is this story not covered? So I wanted to cover that story. So people in the community I was staying were so much afraid of the Fulanese that they started telling them not to. They wanted to expunge them from the community. They wanted to stop them from selling. They wanted to stop them from entering the community. They even wanted to stop the children who were in that community from going to school, as long as you identify as Fulani or you are a threat to the community. So I spoke to my university or institute then. I said, no, we cannot, as an educational institution, wait and see this happen. Yes, there is crisis in the north. Yes, there is crisis in this part of the world. But we owe these children a responsibility to protect their rights to education. Because if we don't do this, they are going to feel that this community doesn't care. And they are going to join their parents to do even worse 5, 10, 15 years from now. So I started discovering, from understanding what stigmatization can do, my work also exposed me to what inequality can do. And I told myself, look, I think God, permit me to mention God brought me to these places to learn firsthand what the absence of child protection, what the absence of education can do. At a bigger scale, as a country, Nigeria, we are not seeing it that way. What we are doing is risk management. We spend billions of naira to okay, there is a bomb blast somewhere, there is this and this. We spend billions of naira to buy weapons, to do this, to do that. That is risk management. But if we spend those billions in naira, in dollars, in investing in children's education in those communities, in those vulnerable communities, they are going to, of course, it's a right. Education is a right. I know I'm talking about education rights in Africa. Education is a right. It's not a privilege. And it's a right because it gives people the freedom to actually express the entirety of their human self. If you deny children the ability to be educated at different levels, you deny them the freedom to dream, the freedom and the audacity to have hope even in their future. So when you take away these things, and then they grow up feeling so stagnant in life, feeling so hopeless. And then one politician most of the time comes and then gives them a couple of naira and then tell them, the government doesn't care. Come and take 5,000. Come and take 10,000. And then you provide them with.
5,000 is too much.
Yeah. Then you provide them with weapons. You provide them with. The next thing is they begin to see that they can actually experience some self-actualization by killing people, by doing this, by doing that, because we did not pay attention to the early education. So that's why I have created these connections to share with people everywhere that, look, let's stop the risk management. Let's not wait to manage risks. I hate risk management. That's why if I'm handling a project, I always employ those who are overthinkers. And not many people want to work with overthinkers, but I love overthinkers because they show you the problems that can be wrong with your project. You need people like that. You need people that can show you different levels of challenges in your project. That in the log frame, there is a place called assumptions. The overthinkers, they will give you tons and tons of that. They'll say, don't do this project, oh, they will mention, don't do it, oh, yeah. Oh, sir. This project, pay attention to all of those, because if you don't, when the project kickstarts, you are going to be doing a lot of risk management to address the challenges that you were denied. You denied your team the opportunities too. So education, early childhood education, youth engagement, these are things that are, as a matter of fact, urgent. The United Nations
Yeah.
records that in Africa, we have over 70% education inequalities. Sub-Saharan Africa has over 70% education inequality. That is like almost, if not more than half of our entire youth population do not have
Yeah.
access to early childhood education and do not have access to certain educational rights. And that is a problem for a continent that has the highest number of young people in the entire
With
world.
growing population.
So that's a
That,
problem.
that is concerning.
Yeah. So it was even when I came here, this is just a side note. It was even when I came here to the United States, I started understanding why it is difficult to give visas to Africans from the US and different US embassies. Because guess what? Um, I'm not downplaying the folks here, but you need to be in certain places and you need to see the educational inequalities for black folks right in the United States. I'm not talking about universities. I have really traveled a lot. Not really a lot, like a lot, but I've gone to East Lansing, Detroit, Virginia, DC. I've gone to New York, Newark in New Jersey. I've gone to Philadelphia. I've been to Dallas, and I didn't go to all the tush places. Yes, I just drove sometimes to some of those places, but I have also visited the ghettos. Yeah, and you see a lot of black people that are not in school. You see a lot of black homeless people. So if you want to bring people that are black from a continent that is even much more undesirable. We are not even sitting on the securities councils. We are not sitting there. The AU is not existent in the Security Council. I've been shouting this that we are wasting our time. The AU is not there because major decisions are made for us. So it's very,
Yeah.
very difficult for them to say, okay, we love you, come to the United States, you are black, come and learn. Now you need to be exceptional. You need to show that you are not coming to join the list of homeless people they already have here, the list of black folks selling cracks and into drugs and all of that shit. And it boils down to they are not going to do the same thing to maybe the Chinese or maybe the Indians. You know, I've never seen any Chinese person in all of the places I've went. I've never seen any Chinese person that is homeless. Like this guy looks like someone from China and is homeless on the streets of Washington D.C. or Detroit. Nah, nah, nah. It is always the blacks or sometimes the whites that are very, very, very minute number of them compared to the blacks. So we need to, as a continent, we need to look at what are we doing to minimize these education inequalities. So
The education
yeah, I
gap
know
should
it's
be
a long way to answer the question what inspired me, but to start my journey.
no.
But
No, you just have to tell us your story, like where it started, what inspired
yeah,
you,
yeah, yeah.
what bettered the love for people, and where you are and where you are actually going. You did a fantastic job. Thank you for sharing, because you shared a lot of personal stuff with us
Yeah,
right now.
yeah.
So it is not easy for people to go past now. So you did. So we are grateful. Thank you for sharing that part
Mm.
of you to us. So let me go. I said I was going to ask you to introduce yourself. So who is David Francis Effiong? Beyond
Um,
your bio.
my I I think I want to start off by
No,
telling people that I'm an
you are
apostle
a
of
witch. how did you call yourself? You're a children witch something.
Which doctor?
I've forgotten how you called it. No, it's not witch doctor. You said I can't remember how you put it. But you called yourself something and you said it's because you work with children who are branded to be witches.
Yeah.
There's a way you put it. You can't remember how you introduced yourself that day too.
Man, I can't. I'm a very spontaneous person. I wouldn't remember how I
Oh,
introduced myself
it
all the
was
time.
in the moment. Like
Yeah.
for you, that was in the moment. Oh,
Yeah.
interesting. Yeah, you said something about maybe like you protect witch children
Yeah.
who are
Yeah.
branded
Yeah.
to be witches.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that is what you do. Like I'm now getting to learn how you came about it, your first experience with that lady. That was one experience that actually got you interested to go into that field.
Yeah.
But let's go to what is happening in Akwa Ibom, because I think that is where your work, the major core of your work is. So tell us about these children who are branded witches and how you and the organization you work with, how you people working to actually protect them
Okay.
and ensure that they also have access to education.
So before I
Over
went
to you.
to thanks so much. Before I went to the Akwa Ibom, I was working with I was a lecturer in Abuja. I was working with another non-profit, and I was also, a car dealer at a point, but I don't normally share this, And then I started talking with an old friend. He's invited me to a couple of conferences here and there. And then he told me, you guess what? I think I would love to connect you with an organization um, working with children branded as witches in the South. And then he introduced me to the organization, and the executive director directed me, to come over. It was a very tough decision to make, but the decision to relocate from Abuja to a very rural community where there is absolutely, you can't compare it to the life I had in Abuja. And so it wasn't just the money, it was what I wanted to learn from doing this work and the children I wanted to experience as well. So I relocated down there, stayed, and then the organization is called African Children's Aid Education. We've rescued about 80 children off the streets of Eket, Oron, and environs, Uyo. Most of these children have been branded as witches, if not all of them. And a part of the reintegration process is to send them back to school. Those who don't want to go to school, introduce them to vocational skills. When I came around, I introduced performance poetry because I believe that it is not just enough for the children to it's not just enough for the children to be reintegrated or rehabilitated, rather. It is okay for the children to get attuned to the experiences they have. They need to start telling their own stories. They need to start getting in touch with what happened to them. So we have over 80% of these kids, especially those of them that are girls, have been raped. We even had one that was pregnant at the age of, I think, 10 or 11. She came to the center and gave birth. We had a baby from a child that was abused, so it was a lot to take in, and I stayed with them. I lived practically inside the child center. It's the biggest out of West Africa, actually. And
Wow.
when I came, we introduced the very during the I came during the just before the COVID pandemic struck, and child child abuse and child abandonment spiked during COVID, uh, because people that were not staying with their wives or with their husbands were forced to stay together for the first time after a very long time. And most of the time, if you force people that don't want to stay together, they are going to look for ways to disseminate the negative energy that they have. So if they cannot hit the partner, they would hit the child. And sometimes hitting the child could even be metaphorical, or they don't need to like hit the child. They are going to send the child out of the house and then blame the child for a lot of things that have gone wrong in the family. Remember that first experience I had with the lady. People stigmatize other people because they don't understand why is this person different from others. So if a child is differently abled, maybe the child is schizophrenic, dyslexic, or the child does things in a different way, there is the tendency of parents who are even the educated parents, because the family I was talking to you about, they are wealthy, right? But they believe in superstition at a very great extent. And the problem of child wish branding is actually a large percentage of them is actually superstition. That they believe that a child is responsible for the trauma in the family, for the bad luck, for the poverty, for everything. We even had we even had a case of a particular child that was branded a witch because a particular wound for the papa leg, no one close. And the father is a fisherman. And you know when you go fishing, you know, like that story of Peter and Jesus going fishing. And then Peter came back and said, oh, we have been up all day long and there is no bloody fish. There's no bloody fish on we couldn't catch any fish. And then Jesus told them, you know what? Let's go back in. This time around, let's go to a particular place. And they went back and then went into the boat, went to a part, and then the fish was amazing. They had to. Are you a Christian? Sorry, I hope I'm not.
Yeah.
Okay, so.
You're really asking for a Christian.
Yeah, because I'm trying to be inclusive, right? And so people who are going to be watching this is a Christian story of Jesus and Peter. And Peter was looking for fish and Jesus had to help him out. Now, you discover that in fishing, it's not all the time you are going to be lucky. And sometimes environmental degradation, especially in the south of Nigeria, it's a big factor to why you cannot get a good number of fish as you used to. So, but because these folks do not understand that there is a climatic factor or environmental factor to why they cannot catch this fish, they will now, something is wrong somewhere. Sometimes they go to churches and these pastors will tell them, look, most of the time it's the child. And Akwa Ibom State has this pandemic of not just Akwa Ibom, a few states in south of Nigeria, a few states that are called riverine communities. They have this propensity to be superstitious, to blame certain outcomes on certain reasons. Okay. So they started blaming, like the dad I was talking about. You go home and then you come back and you have a wound, for instance, the wound is not healing. And then when the team went to visit this man, they discovered that, look, why would your wound heal when you are not treating it properly? Why would your wound heal when you have dried fish in your house and you know say rats dey this place? Rats, they like dry fish. And if rat chop dry fish finish, if you no put dry fish, rat go carry that mouth, come chop your wound. You know that some of these things happen. These things can be explained. But because they don't understand why these things work, they begin to blame the child. The child who plays a lot, the child who climbs the tree all the time when you tell the child to calm down, the child who scribbles when other people are just sleeping, the child that cries a lot at night when other people are supposed to be sleeping. You know, children just trying to be children. But because of adult superstition, because of some of this belief system, they will come and say, look, you are a witch. So in the center, we have almost 80 of them, you know. And one last thing I want to say is this is not just a spectacular, it's not just a spectacular thing to Akwa Ibom and Cross River and Edo State and Delta and a couple of other states in the south. It is the same thing everywhere that you have people who are not following certain child protection principles. It is quite ironic because Akwa Ibom State is the only state in Nigeria that have a clause in the Child Protection or Child Policy Act that says anyone that brands a child a witch would be arrested and sent to jail. They have something like that. They have a clause to protect children from being branded as witches. But the same state have not seen the need to implement certain policies that make sure that whatever they say on paper is actually the case in real life. In fact, throughout my time working with that organization in Eket, I have never for once had a meeting with a government representative to say, okay, you guys are doing great. You guys are doing what we are supposed to be doing. So tell us how the work has been going on. Tell us what you've been doing. Tell us how you've been protecting the children. But when I was the admin, because I worked in the admin, then moved to fundraising, and then we started implementing some of these projects. I never had the executive director call me and say, look, the ministry wants to get the statistics of what we're doing. Or I never had anything coming from his end or saying they want to hear what we've been doing. And that's to show you that they don't care. And at the end of the day, these children, they are going to grow up in a society that doesn't care. Remember what I said the other time. If you don't care for your child, you are going to grow up. You are going to stay afraid when you are old, because these children are going to come for you. They are going to come for you. Sooner or later, they are going to come for you. All the kidnaps that we've been having, this was a child that wasn't protected at the time. There is a history behind whatever shit is happening. We can't even trace how many street children we have in Nigeria. And it's not just a Nigerian problem. We cannot trace the problem of street children in the continent. I have not yet read a case study that says, oh, this street child came from house number, blah, 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 blah. This street child was abused on so day. This street child was this. We don't have that on the continent yet. Maybe there is a country that's trying to do that, but if they are doing that, we need to replicate that success somewhere. And my focus project when I came here was to see how I can replicate the success of that organization in Eket, not just in Eket, in Calabar, in Port Harcourt, in Edo State, in everywhere that have the problem of children not being recorded for, children not having access to education. I don't own a non-profit, just like you be big woman now. I don't get I don't have a non-profit like yourself, But what I do is what I have is I run a company, and I didn't tell you this. My company, we have a CSR where we send a particular amount of money every month to assist children get back to school. We've been working with a particular organization for a couple of times now, making uniforms to children, sending them to school, sending them materials like schools. We do that as a company, as a small startup tech company. We do that. And then we recently launched the Community Today initiative, and that was just shortly after my interaction with the Secretary of State Anthony Blinken in Washington D.C. I told myself, well, you know what? I need to kick this. I need to start this process. I need to do something about child protection. I need to do something about implementing projects and making sure that they work in just not just in one place but in everywhere else. So yeah, I'm big on collaboration. I'm very big on collaboration, and that's the problem of the African continent. If education rights are not being respected, if child protection policies are not being implemented or followed, it's because organizations that are supposed to be doing this are not working with the government or collaborating with other organizations. I know they have a Nigerian network of NGOs. I know we have that. We also have community-based associations of Nigeria, something like that. But how formidable is the voice of these organizations in addressing some of these problems? It's a question that sometimes I do ask myself. But we can try. We can try our best. So basically, yeah, that was my work in Eket. I'm hoping to do similar thing, not because it's not just a Nigerian problem, child protection,
Yeah,
abuse, and
it's,
all that.
it's a global problem.
It's a global problem. I worked with the foster care in East Lansing, and I see that they also have similar challenges and similar issues. And I was like, I think I'm on the right track. So.
Yeah, you are. You are. We've talked a lot about, like, you've talked a lot about child protection. So let me ask you, when we talk about child protection, what do we really mean? We've
Yeah,
talked about it. So for the benefit of those who don't understand, can you explain the concept of child protection to us?
yeah. The concept is quite simple. Child protection is an aspect of child safeguarding. When you safeguard a child, you are actually basically doing a bit of child protection. And child protection actually focuses on protecting individual children identified as suffering or likely to suffer a significant harm. So we have certain principles of child protection that a lot of states would have. Okay, to identify that a particular child is suffering, these are the things you should look out for. To identify that a particular child will suffer, these are the things you should look out for. To identify a particular child that is already suffering, these are the things you should look
Suffering.
out for. Okay, so it is much like uh, um, pre pre-suffering identification. This one is just my term now. Really, pre-suffering
So,
identification, peri-suffering, and post-suffering identification.
post-suffering.
Yeah, just like
So
that.
what are those signs we are supposed to look out for? When you say pre, what are those signs that point to the fact that this child is about to be exposed to a certain kind of suffering?
Okay, so in I'm going to
Yeah.
use the United States as a point of reference. So if you have a family, maybe let's say the mom or the dad, that is highly abusive,
Mm-hmm.
then I think they have something they have their law. I was looking at child protection policies in Dallas, and I was looking in Texas. I was looking the one they have from the Department of State. If a child is staying with an abusive parent, definitely that is a pointer. Because in child protection, you cannot look at protecting children without looking at the antecedents. Are these children coming from? So if you are staying in an abusive environment, you are most likely going to end up being abused or being the abuser over time. So we have to identify those families. So that's why a great part of child protection is actually household strengthening. That's the word. Because if you strengthen households, you are actually also protecting the child.
Wow. Household strengthening. So everything still boils back to the home, to family.
Any what?
Everything. I said everything still boils back to
Yeah,
family,
yeah,
to
it
the home.
does. Yeah,
So if
it
we get
does.
it right
Yeah,
at the family level,
yeah.
so we'll not be discussing child protection
Hmm.
on the
Yeah,
national
there is
level,
this
at the
gist.
national level.
There is this gist I heard of recent. One of my friends here, was telling me about a story of a friend who got the kids taken away from her by the government and sent to the foster home. because she was really abusive. I mean, you can't
Okay.
you can't none of our children is staying with her, and all they needed to do, she's really frustrated now. All they needed to do is just call a particular number and then send details of the instability of the parents and why it is not safe for the child to stay with the parents. Like if I am dating you now, Dorcas, and I discover that every time I come back from work, you are always smoking weed, breaking bottles, and or this your fine face now, you will be doing jaga jaga, causing trouble. All I need to do, and then we have a kid together. All I need to do is just send a letter to the ministry in charge of that child protection something. It has different names in different states, and then tell them that my child is not safe anymore with the mom because this is what she is exposed to. She is into drugs. They are going to give me custody of the child. As I move out of the house, I'm going to have custody of the child. You can do the same thing as well. But in Nigeria, do we do that? Can we call a ministry presently and say that a particular parent is a danger to the child? Is there any ministry that can take away the child from you or give custody? I think there is. Maybe not,
Another.
but you know.
Thank you so much for sharing, David. So let me go to my next question. Where are we? You've talked about it a lot, but I just want us to just emphasize. Let's take it to the scale of Africa. Where are we in educational rights, in protecting the educational rights of children in Africa? Are we there? Are we a work in progress, or we are not there at all?
So we have, according to the United Nations, nearly 60% of children aged 15 to 17 are not in school. That's a great number. That's a massive number. In Nigeria, we have over 100,000 street children in a particular state, like Lagos, for instance. We have millions of we have over 3 million children that are not in school. Nigeria has the greatest number of out-of-school children on the continent. So you know that. But we need to ask ourselves, what are we considering this as emergency, as a matter of gravest concern, or we are still playing the politics of who gets what and who? Because 50 years from now, these children that are not in school, they are either going to be leaders or followers or tyrants. And we have to know, we already know where they are going to fit in the scheme of things. And maybe just less than 1% of Nigerians are, in fact, the elite, those that can say, okay, the country is in shambles, you enter your private jet and off you go. But the majority of us, we are going to be in that country, we are going to experience how the sham of educational inequality, how it is going to be. So I'm not just going to be talking about where we are, where we are not. We already know the problem. But what can we do as a small community? What can we do? We need to begin to identify that we have low quality teaching and learning in all levels. In fact, the culture shock where I don't experience for this Yankee, I no go lie you. Madu.
Oh my God.
Each time I enter a domestic flight from one state in the US to the other, I dey always imagine the day where I go enter plane, say I dey land for Lagos. Welcome to Murtala Mohammed Airport. The noise. Yeah. I didn't know Nigeria was noisy until I left to the US. The noise will go blow you from the gates. Immigration wahala self, maybe we not even talk that one. And then you go to not just from the airport, you go to the road. The way we obey traffic lights is a reflection of our orderliness and discipline as a country. the way we jump queues, the way we replicate a lot of. I was driving the other time and I made a video, and I didn't see any single VIO, any single um, all those people that before you drive from one place to the other, you go see roadblock. Anything for your boy. You give them 5 naira or 10 naira, or how much they collect now. You go to another place, you see it. You know, if we improve our educational system to be modernized the way this place is, I tell you, those people you see on the road are supposed to be behind a technological equipment.
Yeah.
For instance, police don't need to ask you whether your what is it called? Whether your number plates don't expire or it never expire. All you need is to be in your house, and they are gonna send you a mail telling you to go and renew your number plate. And if you keep driving a number plate that is expired, any day you drive past a traffic light, of course, you know there are cameras. The camera would pick that your number plate is expired and send a direct message to the nearby police vehicle who is going to run after you. You get so in the country we do so much for nothing. I feel that if we improve our education system, it is not just about people being orderly. We are going to have people who are much more responsible. We are going to have people who are much more entrepreneurship in Nigeria. Not just what is it called? Now testing we do. We are just testing anyone will work. Today, one babe go sell shoe for our WhatsApp status. The next day, she's selling cake. The next day, she's asking you people, come and patronize me. Oh. The next day, she's saying, I am tired. The next day, she's asking herself, make her go do masters. The next day, you see in a single lifestyle, we have young people doing so many things and doing nothing for themselves and their future at the same time. We are in trouble. We don't just know about it. Every year, we send millions of children out of universities, and there is no single preparation for the job market they are going to meet. There are people in Nigeria now who are not even exposed to the internet. We have internet now, and we think that we are okay. We get internet now. Everybody should be making money online. I'm telling you, there are millions of people that are out, not secondary school. I'm talking about university, that don't have access to internet in their village. Even if they have access to the internet, they still don't know how best to use it. They don't know the possibilities of the internet, of technology, for instance. So we are way behind in terms of educational implementation policies as well. So by the time we begin to pay attention to this nitty-gritty, and it's not just coming to the classroom and giving students a lot of notebooks and telling them to go and do la cram, la pour, give them what you give them. It's about teaching. It's about teaching that is really community minded. We need to begin to learn how to customize our curriculum. What is the meaning of A for apple when there is no? How many kids in rural Africa have even eaten an apple? Something that is considered to be Uyibo food. It's only when I was in East Latin I was eating apple almost every day. But in Nigeria, if you want to eat an apple, you don't go pluck an apple. Not many people know how to pluck apples or plant apples. We know mangoes, we know orange, we know all those other things. we know ukwa, we know fufu, we know gari, we know. Why can't we customize our education system to make sense to our young people so that when they go into the system, they come out providing localized solutions to the problems they are seeing around?
Yeah.
Because at
Like,
the end of the day, yeah, they come out.
you are making sense. No,
They come
I
out.
agree with you on this one. Continue.
So imagine
Continue.
that you are a lecturer in a place like, let's say, University of Jos, or let's say in Borno, where there is this high level of insecurity, for instance. Why are you are teaching peace and conflict resolutions as a course, and you are still telling these young people about the conflict in Israel, the one in the 9/11. You are telling them about the conflict in Bahrain, in Senegal, when these children wake up every day and they see conflict in their community, and you are teaching them
They are
about
experiencing
the one in apartheid in South Africa, teaching them about the Rwandan genocide. Yeah, you can have those as case studies, but the best case study is the one that they are seeing every bloody day. Let them begin to have these conversations in the classroom, where there is supposed to be a reservoir of knowledge, so that when they leave their community, they can begin to create local solutions to these problems. Because at the end of the day, you teach them about some other person's problem, and then they come and then they see their own problem, and they're like, okay, how do I do this?
How will I go about it?
How do I go about it? Okay, so basically, a few recommendations I'll make about innovative education in Africa is we need to change our definition of a classroom. For goodness bloody sake, a classroom should not just be limited to location. A classroom can be mobile. In fact, there was a project we wanted to do back then in some of the migrant Riverine communities with my colleague, and she was like, can we think about having mobile libraries, mobile classrooms? Yeah. These children are in communities where you don't expect them to travel all the way down to the city center to have access to a library. You can have a mobile library. You can move around with your books to those communities. Have some little, maybe all the chops children will love to eat. Invite them over, talk to them about this book, talk to them about that book. If they have books in their local languages, there was a project I even wanted to do. I was a children's book writer. I have a book on children's book, how to write a children's book. I wanted to build a movement out of it, but I got so busy and then I kept the project aside. But right now, if I want to continue it, I'm going to be building a list of people who are very good, in writing children's book. Not just in the English language. Localize these books so that they get to read stories in their language. And you get to visit these people. And when you visit these people in their community and tell them about books, they get intrigued. Classroom becomes less boring. You don't put people that are trying to survive in a class block and force them to learn things that mean absolutely nothing to them outside the classroom. So we need to redefine what the classroom means. We need to redefine it. So that's the first one. The second one I was trying to say is that we need to begin to work on the things that don't work. And then we need to begin to scale those interventions. For instance, in Uganda, there is this tech startup that I really admire them a lot. They were giving solar lights to women in the communities, because the women will be like, when it's at night, when normally you're supposed to do some kind of preparation for the day. Fishermen get to work most of the time at night. So sometimes the women cannot do so much. They have to wait for a day to break before they arrange the fish and so on and so forth. So it makes their work to be a little dull and all of that. So there's this tech startup that says, okay, we need to begin to provide light, electricity to these communities. We cannot get the power grid, the lines, the wire, all the big stuff to that community, but we can innovate. We can produce electricity. And what did they do? There's this little, looks like a cone, a circular, long cone. So what they do is when the women go to the stream, they will fetch water into that cone, and they have this localized kind of electricity that is produced as a result of that. In Rwanda, that's a success story. So women, if you want light, if you want a little lamp to use and do your work at night, you just go fetch water into that particular technological apparatus, and then you are going to see light is going to come just at the top. The thing is just like this, you just pour water inside. There's a little electrical component right there, and so the water kind of produces some kind of energy that makes the light shine just below, and they get to use it. And we have Solar Sisters is another organization that is doing something amazing in Africa. They provide solar lamps to local communities, and then we have in I think in Rwanda. In Rwanda, they have this thing that they have at the middle of the road, where if a car is driving past, it's gonna make that thing to spin, and when it spins, it produces electricity for the nearby community. So
Wow.
these are local problems that need local solutions, and people are gonna. But because sometimes you have people who are like, man, this is not it's not gonna give me a lot of money. So what am I gonna do with it? I don't need this type of project. You just leave it. But have you ever imagined as Africans that the problem we are experiencing now is actually also experienced in other places? But we need to create those solutions. When we create those solutions for our community, then we begin to scale those innovations. And then our bar people are making plates and cups and all those things. And then they will still put made in China.
Why?
Because they feel that if you put made in Aba, Nigeria, people are not going to get these products. Because they feel that local products are not durable. But that shouldn't be the case. That shouldn't be the case. You cannot produce something in your country and ascribe the production process and success to another country because you are afraid of people not patronizing you. So we need to improve our education to appreciate local innovations. And then stop these countries, all these foreign countries, from coming to pick the best talent in our country. Because when people innovate local solutions, there is always this company in Finland, in Sweden, in UK, in the US, in everywhere that will say, come over. No. We need to begin to learn how to stop that thing. But then I don't blame them, because if they are local government chairman, let's start from there. No, they see what you they do. Your governor, no, they see. Your president, man, no, they see. Senator, no, they see. Talk. Somebody on the internet will see you doing something, come all the way, give you a visa to come and work with them. So that is to show you that we have a long way to go on local innovation projects and practices. Then we need to begin to shake up our financing models. It was just of recent that the Harvard Business Review had, for the first time in the history, courtesy of Dr. Ekekwe, for the first time in history, they had the Igbo
The Igbo
Apprentice
model.
system published.
Yeah.
This system has been there for years. I was so happy
For
when I got
years.
to hear that news that at least for the first time, Harvard recognizes that we have a local solution to something that is in that improves youth engagement and empowerment. And they are going to be talking
Yeah.
about it in one of the best universities in the world. We need to begin to do much more than what we're doing. We
Yeah.
need to begin to do
I
much more.
think we need to start showcasing those innovations, those local innovations. And it is
Exactly.
also very important that we need to start appreciating them. As a people, we need to
Exactly.
appreciate and embrace our local solutions. And we also need the government to help promote it.
Yeah, exactly.
Because, like, let me say this, sorry. Let me say this. We have a car producing company in Nigeria. What stops you, government official, from using those vehicles from that particular company?
Yeah.
What stop you from making official vehicle that particular brand?
Mm.
It's a way of promoting your local companies, empowering them. If you empower them, they'll be able to do more and much more. When you were just talking, I was just thinking, when you were talking about localizing our teaching, our curriculum, our content, I'm very interested. Like, I was excited because that is what we are working on. Like, now we are trying to create localized content for rural communities. We don't want to see A for apple. We want to see things that students can easily relate with.
Yeah.
In order to promote hands-on learning. And there is this thing called place-based learning. Place-based learning is when you teach people, you are not just teaching them, but you are teaching them to solve their problem. So identify a community problem. So if you're teaching them, you narrow your lessons towards empowering them, making them think, pushing them to create solutions for those problems within their community. And I think that is something we should be doing. We should be doing more practical teaching more than theoretical teaching that we just look like cram like for. Anything you're being taught, how can you actually apply it to the problem within your community? Yesterday, I was having a conversation with my friend from Zambia, and we concluded that the solution to our community problem lies within the community. So
Yeah.
it is our responsibility to be able to discover it and harness the resources to solve those problems. F. Young, you are talking sense. Well done. Like, you're talking sense. So you still have more you want to share with us?
Yeah,
You have more you want to share
I
with us
just,
before
yeah,
we
you said just they need to get local support is very critical. It's very important in anything that we are doing. If we don't have local support, because it's from the local support we have that is going to amplify our voices. And
Thank you.
when we get those local support, then we amplify these voices and we get the best type of attention to actually replicate or make this project of ours in educational sustainability to stand the test of time. So it's also good to always find a way to introduce new technologies to our community. We need to do that because we are years ahead. The other time I went to a truck shop here in Dallas, and okay, yeah, I first went to change my tire. You know, when you see vulcanizer for Niger, what comes to your mind? Generator, one machine, and
Yeah,
what?
they'll own the machine,
And then they'll be
do the
using their
thing,
this
carry
thing
the
to
bag.
turn the tire, remove the bolt or the nut. And then they would spend like maybe 30 minutes changing tire, or 1 hour in fact. And when I went there, it didn't take me up to 15 minutes. I was done.
Wow.
These guys they had a machine. They just put it into the tire, and the machine would loosen the bolts by itself. So imagine putting it in there, you know, and remove it. The next one, remove it, keep it. Next one, remove it. In Nigeria, we have, you put it, you're like, you keep up for ground. You put another one, put up. Then you remove the tire and kept. So these guys, they just remove the tire. They don't even do patch. They give you a new tire.
Wow.
They just put it. And then you discover there are some places that when you are driving into, they have this hole on the ground, right? Where the mechanic would go down to check what's wrong with your car from these guys. I drove in. I didn't need to take the car into any hole. I just stepped on a machine, and the machine jacked the car up. And they just saw, okay, they saw what they were doing. In 15 minutes, I was done, and I'm off. And then I was telling someone, look, the moment we start earning, not in a month in Nigeria, but earning per hour in that country, a lot of things that we are wasting time on. In fact, we are going to be looking for the fastest ways to do things. And we are not going to be wasting people's time. All these bus conductor or bus drivers, you want to travel to another state, they will tell you, oh, enter, one person remain. You go enter, sit down there, only to discover that you are the first person.
You are the first person.
We waste a lot of time, and because of that, we are not so productive. So we need to discover what are the best ways to introduce these technologies to people, so that you don't need to go to a bus station and wait till the bus is full before you move. You need to be able to go online, book your bus, you go to the exact bus station. The bus is going to pick you at an exact time, or you are going to go into the bus at an exact time. You know the exact time you are going to arrive if you travel to another state. And the security has to be top notch, that you are not going to be afraid of being kidnapped or anything is going to happen to your vehicle or whatever. You know what you're going to do the next time, because you are a technological nation. You know all of that. So that is just a few additions I needed to make. Our education system, we need to be all inclusive. And that's the final one. We need to be all inclusive. Special needs children, they need to go to school. We need to increase the number of teachers that can take care of special needs children. It was in the United States, in East Lansing, that I met a child psychologist for the first time. Child psychologist for Niger, I never see it. Even the people who study psychology, they sell wrapper now for markets. We don't because we don't really appreciate. We don't appreciate some of these little things that matter. A child that is a special needs child also has a right to education. Have a right to be educated. And well, there's so much to say about, let me just
there is a lot. There is a lot, but I'm also using time to look at our time. There is a lot. Your passion is everywhere. Like, we can feel your passion. So if you are with us, this is Chat with the Facebook Live series, and this evening we have David Francis F. Young with us, and he's leading us on the conversation on child protection and educational rights in Africa. That's been a very, very interesting and very insightful conversation. The man is hitting the nail on the head, and he's doing, when I mean great job, he's doing super amazing stuff, sharing a lot of insights. We are not just talking about the problem, we are also discussing solutions way forward. the way forward? Where do we go from here? How can we solve this problem? How can we bridge the inequality in our educational system? How can we ensure that every child, irrespective of their geographical location or socioeconomic status, or wherever they are, they have access to education? So it is all about educational equity, promoting educational equity, equity for all. So we have there was something he said we have to be intentional about the children on the streets. The children we neglect today, almost, they are coming for you in the future. So that's me paraphrasing the word of Mr. David.
Yeah.
The children we fail to give attention to today, they are coming for us in the future. So we have to be intentional. Yes. Like, there was something you said that stood out for me that is very profound when you talked about the consequences of insecurity in our nation today is a product of children whose rights were not protected, who didn't have access to education.
Perfect.
So today, we are actually facing the end product, the final product of a failed system. We have children on the street. No, not children. The young adults we have on the street, they are harassing you on the street, that today you feel, oh, I'm no longer safe to travel at night. Oh, the kidnappers. They are all those people, they came from a family. And those are people that system actually failed. We didn't protect their rights. We didn't give them access to educational rights. Because I, for one, believe that a child we fail to educate today is a threat to our security tomorrow. That is my core. That's the core of what I do. So when I go into Fulani communities, one thing I tell people is the reason why you see, they will tell you S-man here and kidnapping here is because these people, they grew up, they are taking care of cattle. They were S-men. As they were growing older, that is when they were children, they were S-boys. They were growing, they grew older. Now their family members sold off all of those cattle. There is no more cattle. There is no more cattle to cater for. There is no vocational skills to fall back on. And you have a wife and a growing family. What will you do? What will you do with a desperate man? Then somebody comes and tell you, I'll give you 1,000 naira or 500 naira or 1,500, go kill that man. Out of desperation, you will do it. So it just shows, this is just exactly what you're talking about, a failed system. That's the summary. So if we fail to attend to the educational needs of children today, so get ready. The consequences of our action and our inaction, we'll meet it in the future. So what do we want as a continent? What do we want as a nation? So this is where we are going to be putting the educational conversation. So where do we want, what do we want as a continent, and what do we want as a nation? So it is our choice. The choice is really ours. So what's the way forward? So thank you so much, Mr. Francis David Effion, for sharing a lot with us this evening.
Thank you. Thanks for having me here.
Yes, like our time is like that point, but we just have to go to the next one. I have a lot of questions for you, but I'll let it go. There's always a next time. We'll bring you back, then we'll talk about your personal development, because I saw that you have a lot of things under your sleeves. Like, your bio is fully loaded. So how were you able to manage all of these things?
I think
So
sorry, I think that's true. That should be some other time. And so sorry I spoke for a long time about
no.
education rights and child protection.
We are feeling your passion.
Personal development is, I just feel it should be on its own. Like, it should be something, because I was ready to talk about child protection and education as a right, just for today. Personal, that's another ball game. I can talk about that for long.
No, we bring you back to come and talk about that one. So if you are very interested in child protection and educational rights in Africa or in your country, or you're looking at starting something towards that direction, you want to dive into that space, Mr. David Francis Effion is your plug. Like, this guy knows his onions, is well grounded, and is well versed in this field. So I will encourage you to connect with him, get in touch with him. He's very active on social media. He's active on Facebook. He's very active on LinkedIn. So if you reach out to him, I'm so sure he's going to respond to you, because this is something that he's very passionate about. This is something, sorry, I shifted my camera. This is something that is very passionate about, and I know for one that he's going to respond to your messages. So let's go to the next segment of this of chat with you. That is my MWF experience. We need to discuss this. It's very important. So my MWF experience. So David, how was MWF for you? Like, how was the experience like?
The experience was mind blowing, and
Mm-hmm.
I made a lot of history as a Mandela Washington Fellow. I know I don't get to share some of the things I've experienced in the group, but I'm sharing that bit by bit on social media when I have the time, and I even want my enemies to go for a Mandela Washington Fellowship. That's how I care
Oh,
about this program, and that's how I
yeah.
appreciate how impactful it has been. And from the family host, I had the most family host invites
Mm.
from my university. I went to more than 5 families. I've met the most persons. I have made one of the most connections alongside others. Of course, I've visited the most states in the US. I've I've seen people from all levels, the state departments. In fact, let's look at Secretary of State, the folks in the State Departments. I went to IREX office the other time. I've had different levels of that conversation. And in terms of my research, as an African person, I have interest in African epistemology and research. I've spoken to professors from the chair of African philosophy, African studies in my university, from bottom up to the dean, to the human resource person. So I wasn't here to joke. All right, I was here.
You
I
came for
came
business.
prepared. Like, I had a list, and I did all the things on my list and even added more.
Wow.
I did all the things in my list and even added more. So that's what I'm going to tell people. I see a lot of people come here and they are like so stringent with their routine. Go to class, they would go here, they would go. They don't do anything outside of that, which is okay. But if you want more from the experience, like I have gotten more from the experience, you need to take the extra mile. You need to sit down and reflect, what do I want to do? And again, the MWF experience is an authentication of what your purpose in life is. If you don't have that purpose, if you don't have it sorted out, or if you are still trying to find out what your purpose in life is, you are going to have a very big time experiencing the fellowship. So that is it. It was mind blowing for me, and I am looking forward to better ways and improved outcomes for the experience.
We can relate to that. We know for one that it was a mind-blowing experience. We are following you on social media. I remember um I remember one of our Nigerian colleagues said, is it the same NWF we go? David, you are one very unique fellow. I remember I read that comment under one of your posts, and I was laughing. I said, yes, David's own experience is unique and very different from every other person's experience, because it's very unique. And I love the way you tell your story. And that is
Thank you.
one beautiful thing. People get to experience the fellowship through your story, through the way you were able to engage with people on social media. That was very, very unique. And when I see you do all of this, I'm like, ooh, I wish I have that energy. I don't have this energy. But it is beautiful. Like I celebrate your growth on that one. Well done. So my next
Thank you.
question for you, David, is what are those major learnings? We've got a lot of people. I can hear you talk about networking, collaboration, intentionality in connecting with people. So what are those major learnings that you have gotten or you experienced that you want to bring it back to Nigeria? That when you are coming back home, you are coming with this wisdom. We have to implement, we have to change this, we have to apply this. So can you share some of your learnings with us?
Okay, so the first thing I want to share is that I have upped my game. And if anyone
Hmm.
wants to work with me now, uh, if the person is doing what I'm passionate about, then we can go do it together. And I may not really care so much about the money as I do care about the impact it would give your work. For instance, I'm even planning to drop a CV with you so that you employ me. Uh, because
David,
I
I beg.
because I see that you are doing something that if I were to be in the north, I would have been doing the same thing. I mean, you looking
We can
at
work together. You don't need TV. You can
yeah.
come and bring some of your learnings. We can work together. You don't need TV.
So I think that is the one thing I want to point out here. It's collaborations. I want to improve upon my
Mm-hmm.
collaborations with other fellows, and not just in Nigeria this time around. I have access now to about 22 countries, and I want to look at the possible ways of it. I am a great believer in scaling whatever we are doing. If you are doing anything in
Mm-hmm.
your community and it's a success, please don't keep it there. You mustn't even remain there. You have to move. So I
Yeah.
mean, I've worked in like 26 states, so I'm not saying this theoretically. I'm saying this as someone who's experienced life in the country back to back. And I see people, they got the success of their projects and they just want it to remain there. You are not scaling, you are not building. You cannot, you need to build to the point where you can begin to get closer to becoming an organization like UNICEF or SOS Children,
Yeah.
or you need to get to that level. All right, you need to build to that level. Bill Melinda Gates Foundation, they are getting there. Okay, we need to start building. Africans, we need to start. That collaboration is key. People should know
Yeah.
what they are doing in the north of Nigeria, in the south, and invite you to come and share lessons of what you are doing in the south with them so that they can do the same thing. It doesn't matter if some people are doing the same thing you are doing in the south, as long as the objective, which is making sure that children get back to school, is achieved. You cannot do that
Yeah.
alone, and that is the major takeover. I am coming back to the when I'm coming back, I'm not I'm not going to be interested in opening a non-profit and just I want to stand out. I want to do this. I have a section in my company dedicated to the Community Today initiative, and I want to build it. I want to expand it to work with other organizations and companies. I don't want to do too much. Like people come home, they want to open, they want to start afresh, they want to. By the time you are done, and knowing your lifespan, you are going to die before some of the things. So why not just collaborate with people who have already established something? Why not make that legacy make that legacy for yourself? I'm a fundraising consultant and non-profit strategy consultant. I want to, when I say up my game, I want to say that if I'm moving over to work with other organizations, let it be big levels, let it be big boys levels, because come on, I'm a Mandela Washington Fellowship alumni. I should
Oh
be
my
able
God.
to,
Let me come and dress TV with you.
yeah, I should be able to give you the best, and you should be able to afford the best. So that is what I'm taking back, and gradually, there are plans I have in the nearest future, and one of them is building child development spaces in the different communities. It's a massive project, and I want to take it easy. I want to make sure that I get the needed local support and local influence. And when it comes to becoming the leading voice in child protection, in child's rights, and anything that has to do with fundraising, non-profits. I want when you are thinking about it, just like people when they are thinking about entrepreneurship in Nigeria, they don't overthink. They just think about Tony Elumelu, right? They are thinking about the first black president in America, Obama. They are thinking about the richest guy in Nigeria, Dangote, right? You know, I don't want people to think what my name is. When you mention this, just think about, oh, this guy, reach out to him. That's the way I want to go. In terms of African research as well, I'm also piercing gradually into the African philosophical circle, and I've not shared this online, but this is something I've been doing privately, and I'm still trying to push it, because I feel we need to tell our stories as Africans, and we need to do it well. We need to be present in research circles, and I want to be there. I want my name to be mentioned in those circles, and I hope I'll be alive for a long time to see this actualized. But yeah, that's my plan.
Wow, that's like a lot.
Yeah.
We are waiting for you, and we wish you all the very best as you go to accomplish all of these dreams in Nigeria and beyond. So that is our
Amen.
that's our prayer for you. So to my final question. So to my semi-final question, because maybe another question can come out, so just to protect myself. To my final
Yeah.
semi-final question. So what is your big dream for Africa, and what's your big dream for Nigeria?
I need Africa to be Africa-led.
Mm-hmm.
Same
Say
thing.
that again.
I need Africa to be Africa-led.
Wow.
It's only when we are African-led that is the African Union, is going to start making decisions for the continent, and it's going to be respected by everyone sitting on the Security Council, or everyone making decisions for the continent. I see it's always a very it's a massive embarrassment to the continent that you are going to have Ukraine Africa Summit, this country Africa Summit, this one Africa Summit. Like a single country will call the entire continent for a summit to talk about what? When it should be the other way around. I don't know if you get what I'm saying.
I am following.
It's because different nations. I'm sorry I even had to mention Ukraine, because I had to use that example, because Ukraine presently is unfortunately a very unstable country. Okay, and Africa should be the one contributing to Ukraine and not the other way around. Ukraine shouldn't call for an African summit. Africa should call, Africa as a continent, or even Nigeria as a country, should call Ukraine for a summit or for discussions, not the other way around. It's because we have a lot of power in the continent and we don't know what to do with it. That is why decisions are being made for us. We have tons of industries and companies coming to put their headquarters in Nigeria, for instance. I heard the other time that Amazon is trying to build a warehouse in Lagos. I don't know how true that is. We have Microsoft Office is building their structure on the continent in Nigeria. We have Google, they are coming. Facebook, these fan companies are coming. Netflix, they are getting our movies. They are making money So we are contributing millions, if not thousands, billions, if not billions in dollars to the Western economy, one way or the other. So we should begin to understand this power we have and leverage upon it. I love when people have power. Like I didn't tell you, one of the things that I'm looking out for, the Mandela Washington Fellowship has given to me. It's because now I have a lot of power. And I want people to respect the power I have. And the power is a power that's going to be transformative. It's a lot of fellows don't understand what it means to be guided and led by a program like Mandela Washington Fellowship, or sponsored by the Department of State. If you check the J1 visa, you can't compare it to the F1 visa. There are a lot of benefits to the J1 visa. It means you are an exchange visitor. You are sponsored by a very important personnel or section of the United States government. Like they tell you, you are good. Come and share with us and also learn. They didn't tell you a student is come and learn, which is F1, right? Come and learn. J1 is come and share what you are, what you have been doing in your community, so that we can also tell you what we have been doing, and so that we can collaborate. That's the power. You need to understand. People shouldn't have come here and be, sounding fickle and so timid. No, you need to understand that power. And you need to leverage on that power, which is what I have done 100% since I came here. So that's my word for the continent. Africa should be Africa-led. Lead your own technological innovations. Send a message to Netflix, to Facebook, to all these companies that are coming to make money from you. Tell them you have a local problem, that if they want to continue doing business with your country, that they should begin to create solutions. Make a deal with them. Use your power to make a deal with them. The solar companies that are coming to the country, make a deal with them. Recommend certain communities to them. And, tell them they are not going to pay tax for 5 years if they create solutions, solar panel solutions to community A, B, C, or D. Africa should begin to lead conversations. Don't just sit down and they invite you for a summit and you go and speak English and come back and your people are still ravished in hunger and penury. We need to begin to make that conversation. So that's why I'm looking forward to Nigeria's president. I know a lot of shit is going on online. I'm looking forward because the next decision we are going to make is going to affect us for the next 8 years. Who knows? Even a lion in the most rural places in the United States, if we don't get it right in the continent, even a lion is going to invite us for a Lion Africa Summit. So that is it.
It is serious. This is food for thought. We need to sleep on it, sit on it, and think about it. This is good. Thank you so much, Francis. Your dream for Africa is very deep, and I hope we are all getting the message. So it's something for us to think about it. Not just think about it, we need to be very intentional in making decisions towards changing the African narrative. We need to change it. And the time to change it is now. And the people to change it is us. So I think that is what I'm going to use to close our conversation for this evening. Thank you so much, David Francis Effiong. It has really been very, very insightful moment for us. Listening to you share your experience, share your thoughts and opinion with us. Thank you so much. So much wisdom everywhere. Thank you. So thank you so much. We are a few minutes behind, but that's fine. Since David is not complaining, because I was watching time for you, since you're not complaining. So
I actually need to, maybe take my lunch and then step out for a while. But it's fine. I love sharing, and because, like I said, I'm hopeful.
That's the way forward.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Francis. So till you come back to Nigeria, we are waiting for you. And in all of these things David shared, because David is open for collaboration, He's not seeking collaboration in Nigeria alone. He's seeking African collaboration. So if you like to work with him, you like to collaborate with him, or you like to engage any of his expertise, please, I will encourage you to reach out to David. He's an excellent somebody. He knows his onions, and I know he's going to deliver on it. So thank you so much once again for joining us this evening on Chat Today Facebook Live series. So tomorrow the conversation will continue. I'm excited because we did it. Like we wanted to do Chat Today for a month, and we did it. So every day, like every day, aside just weekends or weekdays, we're always bringing insightful conversations to you, learning about what our fellows are doing, and also about the amazing MWF experience. For me, this has been a wonderful journey. When I started, I didn't know I will be able to survive the entire 1 month, but we did it. So congratulations to us. It's 1 month. Thank you, David. So,
all right.
David, do have a wonderful day. And bye-bye.
Bye.